Hi, I hope that those of you that celebrate Thanksgiving had a good Thanksgiving. I got a YouTube question here from Tess who says, basically her question is, I'd love for you to cover on your channel eating unrestrictedly, particularly in the earlier stages where mental and physical hunger is extreme, whilst working in an office job 9 to 5. It's easy in these jobs to get decent lunch breaks, pop in and out whenever, so theoretically it should be quite simple to get to eat according to hunger, but, and I know this seems like an excuse, it can be quite embarrassing constantly whipping out snacks and eating at my desk all day long when in the full room of colleagues. I can't help but feel judged by them or looking greedy. It's also difficult to have exactly what I'm craving. Some things aren't accessible to eat in an office, such as cereal, which is a huge craving of mine. Well, you probably know what the answer is going to be like this, and you said it yourself. It seems like an excuse. I'm not saying that you're using it as an excuse. I am saying that you are making it more complicated than it needs to be. The judgment that you fear from other people, that's perceived by you, right? When we perceive something, that feels like it's true, but it doesn't mean that it necessarily is true. Hell, it doesn't mean it's not true either, but that's your perception. And I think that's an important distinction, that your perception and reality are not always the same thing. You are choosing to allow that perceived judgment to influence your behavior, and that is on you. You can't necessarily control how your brain perceives something. That should change as your fear of weight gain changes. But right now, you can't necessarily control that your brain perceives that judgment. Your brain's afraid of weight gain. Your brain is going to look for anything in your environment that it can use as a reason to try and convince you to not eat without restriction. And so that's something that your brain is using. It is using your perception that other people are judging you. And I'd say that that's something that happens to all of us. I'm not generally a person who cares what other people think about me or how other people judge me. However, even for someone like me, when I was in recovery, my brain would use that sort of thing as a reason that I shouldn't eat without restriction. And so it's kind of interesting what our brains can do when our brain's afraid of something. Our brains can make us feel like we care about things that we actually don't care about. Your brain has access to your thoughts and your feelings. It can convince you of all sorts of things. And your brain's primary job is to keep you safe from threat. And your brain believes that weight gain's a threat to you. So it's not like your brain's doing anything underhand, or it's just doing its job. You have to be a step ahead of it, though. We can bypass all of these things. So I think the first thing to understand is that if you are somebody who generally cares what people think about you, well, that's something you've got to work on anyway. But this is more important than that. You getting yourself fully recovered is more important than that. And you have to work out how you can eat without restriction. And like I've outlined a number of times, this is, that phase at the beginning where we are just eating everything and everything, our mental hunger is really high. If we actually follow through with that doesn't last forever. We're talking weeks, maybe a month or so, but not much longer than that. It should start to dissipate like after 6 weeks or so. And so that's how you have to see this. This is, I have to do this now. I have to do it properly now. If I do it properly now, then it will get better quicker and this will cease to be an issue. So if you are genuinely in an office job situation where you're like, I cannot eat without restriction whilst here, you have to think about taking time off, even if it's just for a week or so, which if you have flu or something, you would be able to do. So, look at it that way. If it is possible for you to work, then quit allowing your perception to cause you to restrict your food. Quit allowing what you believe other people are thinking about you. Honestly, they probably don't give a fuck, honestly. You'd be so surprised at how little other people really care about what you're doing. When you have an eating disorder, your brain is hyper-focused on food, so you care a lot about what other people are eating. But then you assume that everybody else is thinking like that as well. Not, I can tell you they're not. I know they're not, because when I had a eating disorder, I was hyper-focused on food. And now I don't have an eating disorder. I couldn't, like, you could be eating something I probably wouldn't even notice. So there's that. In terms of sort of, well, I can't access the food that I want, well, just get the closest thing to it. Cereal bars, then, that's what, like, that's not an unsolvable problem. That's just, okay, well, if I can't have that exact thing, what can I have? So that is an example of you're overcomplicating something. We don't have to, like, specifically eat exactly what we're craving at all times in order to get recovered. You just got to eat the closest thing to it that you can, and push yourself to be eating foods that your brain has resistance to. And so if you can't eat cereal, that's not a big deal. You just eat the closest thing to it that you can. But take the sort of, that first 6 weeks, take it really seriously. Be like, I'm going to eat without restriction, and I'm going to do what it takes in order to do that. And sure, I know work and stuff like that, but people have COVID for weeks and weeks and need time off. So I don't know, make up an excuse if that's what you have to do. Or if you're in a job where you can work from home, just do that. But don't allow things that are not obstacles to feel like obstacles. They are definitely things that you're a smart person, you can think your way around it, and it's not forever. It is not a particularly long time before that mental hunger should start to sort of dissipate and become more manageable. All right, hope that helps. Bye.